is Rex with the episode 7 of Petanque Points Podcast, coming to you from Lockdown Central in the beautiful studios of universalexports.co. Hopefully this podcast will divert you a little from your lockdown situation, if you are in one, and looking at the stats you most probably are. This time, we go to the federal capital, tell of places we didn't go, hear of a princely supporter. We check out things from across the pond. We have an on-the-road report from the Mobile Petanque Challenge traversing Australia. See who's been recognised and for what. Look at Pastis on the Pistes. Hear from a hijacked historian and much more. So away we go. First up, congratulations to Mount Martha Petanque Club. They have just received notification that they are finalists in the Keep Victoria Beautiful Tidy Towns Awards 2021 Sustainable Communities. Try and say that in one breath. I haven't even finished. Heritage and Culture section. This is in recognition of the project to create the Bouladrome from the deteriorating unused bowling green of the club. Well done to all involved. Yes, that's brilliant. While we're down on the peninsula, 14 Juliet, or July 14th, was celebrated by many clubs worldwide, but both St Andrews and Mount Martha made a real showing. An amazing time was had with Bastille Day at the Mount Martha Bowls Petanque and Social Club on the Mornington Peninsula. 2 U3A Petanque groups joined them and enjoyed playing on the 24-piece Bouladrome. 2 U3A Petanque groups joined them and enjoyed playing on the 24-piece Bouladrome, with lunch and drinks in the middle of the day, afterwards overlooking the sea. A great day. There were some stunning images posted on Facebook of Jennifer Cuthbert, Wendy Hall and Sue Rickaby. I did attempt to contact them for a full report, but I was unsuccessful. Meanwhile, at my home club, I thought I'd like to enjoy a glass of tradition, so I took the obligatory French fromage and baguette and a litre of pastis along to share. The pastis, it seems, was the more popular of the shared items. I did get to have one at least. Interestingly, most thought the pastis was better straight rather than mixed down with chilled water. On the theme of Bastille Day, how could we go by without a contribution from Radio Robin of Bayside Petanque Tassie?
The peasants are revolting, said Louis XIV. I quite agree, replied Marie Antoinette, but at Bayside Bulls they are celebrating in the way most Antoinette. Indeed, they are eating their cake with much enthusiasm, and that we were. In fact, Bayside's belated Bastille Day bash was bonza, beaut, boisterous, blissful, bountiful, boadicious, buzzing, and in fact bloody brilliant. Preparations for the Bastille Day started a day early. 3 loads of gravel to top-dress the piste were delivered on Friday morning. Well, thank you, Hobart City Council. It was so nice of you, but shock, horror. The piste would be full of petonkers on Friday arvo and all day Saturday. What were we to do? An SOS was sent to the troops and they arrived, armed with rakes, shovels and muscles they didn't know they had. 2 loads were spread with many grunts, much swearing, pronounced puffing and oft-heard, "I'll never be the same again." And it was decided unanimously that the last pile could wait until tomorrow. The old bones had just had it. And besides, Friday's games were due to start. Quelle horreur! Down tools, mes amis, time to play. Saturday morning dawned fine, but freezing. The set-up team had the gazebos up in a trice, tables set, bunting fluttering and the flags flapping. Renato, upon seeing the remaining pile of gravel, grabbed a shovel and with Italian vitality, vigour, zest and zeal had the gravel spread in nesse momento pliato. Grazie, Renato. It was piece perfect. Well, hopefully not absolutely piece perfect. What excitement is there with billiard table services? Dips in the landscape, a generous scattering of pebbles, pine cones and gum nuts in profusion, the odd piece of bark. Now that's a competitive piece. Amazingly, everyone, well, almost everyone, but that's another story, arrived not only on time, but early, bearing the most delicious food, looking chic in berets, knotted scarves, stripes, red, white and blue thrown in. Simon was yarn-bombed with a 4-metre tri-coloured scarf, a matching beanie, and wearing one blue sock and one red sock to reach Le Look Magnifique. Dedication indeed to the cause. So, on with the melee. Apprentice scorers, Sue and Anna, did a sterling job of organising the draw, keeping the peasants from revolting and getting the show on the road. Despite the most pathetic moaning about bull's bursitis from the gravel spreaders, the first 2 games were played with Gallic gusto, much laughter, shyacking, applause, and enough brilliant and wayward shots to keep the cheer squad enthralled. After all that effort, everyone was well and truly ready for their lunch, which was a sight to behold. Oh, the quintessential quiches, the succulent savouries, the sublime sweets, and the best bread, the superb soup, and the mulled wine marvelou. There was a contented silence, just sighs of delight and murmurings of appreciation as members supped and sipped, and then the wine kicked in. Terry managed to grab a moment during the noisiest of festivities to formally farewell Judy and her daughter Giselle, who are moving to South Australia. Judy has been part of the Bayside family for many years, both as a PFA member and now as a social playing member. She will be missed by Baysiders all, especially her pithy comments, her baking and her commitment to Petanque. Go well, Judy. Enjoy your new adventures in SA. As members lifted their glasses to drink a toast to Judy and Giselle, a ripple of excitement ran through the group, and all turned to the river. A whale appeared in the bay, played at the surface and then dived deeply. What a magic moment to send Judy and Giselle on their way. A whaley wonderful goodbye. Now, as far as entertainment goes, a whale is pretty hard to top, but topped it was by a performance by the Bayside Balladeers, Akka, Susan and Catherine. In their stripes and berets, with ukuleles in hand, they entertained the gang mightily with 2 French songs. They handed out song sheets, hoping for a loud, enthusiastic chorus from members, but, in the cone of silence, I think members need a trifle more practice or less mulled wine. Sue and Catherine, however, were absolutely fantastic, and Bayside is honoured that Sue did her first gig with us, and she premiered a most wonderful song, May Amir at Bayside Bulls. There were tears of laughter and joy as clever Sue put in all the members and their quirks in the song. Thank you, Sue. Your song will long be treasured. Entertainment over, Game 3 was on, with Simon, Sue, Suzanne, Mason, Terry, Judy and Vicky sitting on 2 wins each. It was anybody's game. The shadows were lengthening as the afternoon went on. Feet shuffled in the circles. The bulls cracked as Carrows dashed hopes. Measuring tapes zipped to decide the point, and time echoed down the piste. After perfect pointing, brilliant bombing and kite tactics, Suzanne, Mason, Terry and Sue won their 3rd game. With Bayside's resident mathematician Jim keeping his handicapper's eye on the proceedings and giving Ma, the minus scores are her downfall, a hand, the Fab Four's delta scores were calculated, and the result is such. Terry plus 26, Mason plus 22, and Mason has only been playing for a little while. What a legend he is. Sue plus 15 and Suzanne plus 7. Graham was delighted to receive the Jammy Award. Thank you, Jennifer C., for your donation of a bottle of red for the winner. And Suzanne, cake cook, beanie knitter, jam maker and quilt queen for the jam for the Jammy Award. Troopers you are. Presentations made, riotous applause, photos taken, smiles all round. Such was the bonhomme that nobody wanted to move. Happy, replete, old bones weary, ready for a cuppa. So all hands on deck, dismantle, pack up, clean up, home, collapse. The end.
Thanks, Robin. Brilliant as usual. Now to that hijacked historian. For those that do have the opportunity to get copies of the PFA, Petanque Federation of Australia newsletter, you'll be aware of the short column called Jerry's Trivia Corner. Well, we here at Petanque Points Podcast thought Jerry was so interesting that we have abducted him and hijacked his column so that his insights and knowledge can be spread further. So let's hear how Jerry got into Petanque and what his trivia is for this episode. Jerry, how did you get into Petanque?
Well, okay, I started actually when I was maybe 10 or 11, but it didn't last very long at the time. It may have been my 10th or 11th birthday. I was given a recreational set of 6 petanque balls, which was fantastic, you know.
Lovely, yeah.
Played with the family, and I think the family soon got a little bit sick and tired of playing petanque all the time. So that's something that really only lasted a couple of years.
Right. So you went away from it, but then you must have come back to it somehow.
Well, I came back in 2019, the Smythesdale Christmas breakup of 2019. And I'd been talking to a friend who was retired, and we were talking about, you know, the necessity of finding things to replace work, you know, once you stop. And he said he'd found the perfect thing, petanque. When I asked him where he played, he said Smythesdale. I was quite taken aback because I live in Haddon, which is adjacent to Smythesdale, and in fact, the place where they play is only about 2 kilometres from me. So I said there and then, I said, well, look, can I come and introduce myself? And he said, yes, by all means. So that was it. I turned up. It happened to be their Christmas breakup do in 2019. So there were bottles of wine on all the tables. There was food, salads, sausages. You know, a very nice occasion. And since then, I don't think I've missed very many games.
Yes, my wife and I joined when we retired, and we found it to be addictive.
Yeah.
It's not just the game for us, it's the social thing.
That's right.
Really incredible. And it's the fact that both you and your wife can play together, you and your girlfriend, you and your lover can play together. It's not golf where the tees are so many metres closer to the hole than what the gents' tees are and things like that. Everything's equal.
That's right. And it's certainly, in that sense, yes, it's very informal.
Exactly. So there was your initial background. This is how you got back into it.
That's right. I think, you know, probably after a few months, as I say, Smythesdale, they play twice a week, which is quite a lot for regional clubs because most regional clubs in the Northwest do about once a week or even less. I remember one weekend I was at a loose end and I thought, well, what am I going to do? And I thought, well, let's look up some of these other regional clubs and we'll go for a drive. And we went to Moyston, which is part of the Grampians Club.
Yep.
And so we arrived there about 2:00, and lo and behold, some of the local players started arriving. I introduced myself and asked if I might play with them, and they were very, very welcoming, and I ended up having a great afternoon. And I keep going back there. I go there. I play with Moyston, Halls Gap, Pyrenees, Malden.
So, Jerry, from all that, how is it that you got from there to now featuring on the PFA's newsletter with Jerry's Trivia Corner?
Well, Jeff Langdon, as you know, is currently the communications officer for PFA, and he was the secretary last year. He's also the secretary of Smythesdale.
Right, yes.
I think Jerry's Trivia Corner came about because we were having a discussion one day about why our scorers have 13 and 15 points.
Yes.
They go up to 15, in fact.
I believe so.
We were were thinking, but we only ever go to 13. Is this because of bocce? Are they selling these to the Italians as well? No one really knew. And I thought, I'll look it up. And it was very interesting. I emailed Jeff what I found, which was that I think until about 2004, the world finals were played to 15. And that was it. But obviously no more. And it was just the very final, the World Championships. In fact, years ago, petanque matches were played even longer. 21 was sometimes played.
Goodness.
But you might be going back before the 1950s. So.
Well, I can tell you that the club that I belong to, we're starting to introduce playing as a singles, 3 single people playing a single game to 21. But that creates all sorts of incredible problems as far as scoring and your delta. So we're now devising it that you play to 26, because 26 is twice 13. And from there you can work deltas out. We want a scorer that goes to 26.
26, yes. It's an interesting game, though, 3-way singles, because it changes the tactics and the strategy.
Some people that believe this is not real petanque and you shouldn't be playing it.
Yeah, but it's when you're playing socially and practicing, I think anything's good.
Absolutely. Now, Jerry, getting back to your Trivia Corner, a lot of people have seen the PFA newsletter that's come out. I don't believe every member of every club gets to see that, but I was absolutely intrigued by Jerry's Trivia Corner, and this last one was really exciting. So would you like to give us Jerry's Trivia Corner that was the last one in the PFA newsletter, so that those that don't read the newsletter and those that are overseas can hear what you had to say?
Okay, Ray. I thought I'd just touch a little bit on the history of petanque. When I say touch, I mean, touch very lightly, because it's the history goes back a long, long way. In any case, here goes, Rex. Early boule games were introduced to Gaul by the Romans. These early games were played with boule made from clay or stone, then wood in the mid-16th century, wood with nails around 1870, and steel from the 1920s. Petanque, officially born in 1910 at La Ciotat near Marseille, was derived from the jeu provençal, which is still played and involves much greater throwing distances of 20 to 25 meters.
Jerry, there's so much information in that short little paragraph. I was aware of some of those things, particularly the ones with the nails around the 1870s. From what I've seen of those, I thought they were horseshoe nails, but who knows?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they were horseshoe nails, but I do know they used nails of different materials. So they used copper, pewter, and iron, and they used them together to make, in some cases, to make different patterns on the boule.
Oh, of course, yeah. You
can actually see photographs of some of the boule that are still around. And they've got absolutely fantastic, they're like...
artworks, almost.
Almost, yes.
I think we should bring them back. What do you think? What do you think, Jerry? We could start up a little business together making these sorts of boule.
Well, we could certainly put it to the PFA to see if we could bring them back.
Yeah, how legal would they be nowadays, though? That's the problem.
Well, that's right. I think they went out of favour in 1930s. Maybe 1930 was the last time they were used. I'm not quite sure when. But really just that paragraph of information. Obviously, I leave out a lot. It gives people an idea.
Absolutely. In just that one paragraph, there's so much information there.
I wanted to just say, in relation to that paragraph, I mentioned the jeu provençal, which I know you've heard of.
Yes.
It was the direct ancestor of petanque, but I believe that jeu provençal is itself derived from boule lyonnaise. So boule lyonnaise predates jeu provençal. There are even other ones. Brittany, for instance, has its own boule history. So boule bretonne.
I wasn't aware of that.
No, that's getting a bit more obscure. But they have their own regional variations, even within Brittany. So the different departments of Brittany, Morbihan, Côte du Nord, Finistère, they largely play the same game. And it's very, very similar to boule lyonnaise, but different. And I don't actually know what the rules are. The thing is that in Brittany, they played boule really from the day it was introduced into Gaul. whereas in many parts of France, boules were outlawed by the king.
Jerry, maybe this should be retitled to Jerry's History Corner. This is really exciting.
It is exciting, but I think maybe we'll keep that one for next month's Trivia Corner.
Fantastic. Jerry, look, that is just brilliant, and I really do appreciate the time and all of that information you've been able to give us. I will look forward to hearing future trivias, histrionics from you. It would be really lovely. That would be fantastic. Jerry, look...
I look forward to meeting you as well, Rex, because Camberwell's not somewhere I get to very often, but that's just because of the dread of driving down to Melbourne, really, more than anything.
All righty, I better go, Jerry. Thanks very much. You take care.
Yeah, lovely speaking to you, and let's catch up next month.
I certainly hope so. Okay, thanks, Jerry.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye now. Yes, thanks, Jerry. We look forward to making that a regular segment on Petanque Points. Now, from a few things from around the traps, Derek Jones from Petanque England posted this earlier this month. Prince of Wales petanque player Prince Charles today joined the Welsh petanque playing family. Earlier today, Prince Charles visited a community store project at Pontour House Inn. After pouring and sampling a pint of Butty Batch in the bar, he tried his hand at our beloved sport. If you want to follow the link, to go to South Wales Argo's site and have a look at their article, and there are plenty of photos there too. From Canberra Petanque, a report on their winter solstice singles, June 20, 2021. Hosted by the Smith family, Adele, Reese, Callum and Graham. He was won by Ahmed Al-Khateb, and the consolant was won by Bazar. Good on you, Bazar. It was a particularly cold and windy day in Canberra, but it was cheered up greatly by a superb club competition. Members arrived in jackets and beanies equipped with thermoses and hearty food. Play was keen yet friendly, and there were plenty of well-contended rounds before lunch. Then there were semis for both sections, which were evenly matched for most of the duration. The final was a nail-biter, with both Rob, last year's winner, and Ahmed showing us their best play. Everyone stayed till the end, the interesting outweighing the chill factor. And it would have to be interesting to outweigh Canberra's chill factor. Congratulations, Ahmed. You're a deserving winner. Congratulations, Rob. It was a great match. Shame there has to be a runner-up. Congratulations, Baz, for winning the consolant, who played consistently well all day. From across the pond, Petanque New Zealand posted this 17th June this year. The National Championship venues have been announced for the 2021 seasons. Mixed doubles, 2nd and 3rd of October at Panmure Pioneers Auckland. The pointing competition, 1st and 2nd of October at the Panmure Pioneers Auckland. Singles, 5th of November at Dunedin City. Doubles, 6th and 7th November 2021 at Dunedin City. Senior doubles, 4th to 5th December 2021, Christchurch. Women's triples, 4th of March 2022, Harawinua 11. Triples 5 to, it's those New Zealand vowels I'm having troubles with. Triples 5 to 6th of March 2022 at Harawinua at 11. Shooting competition 4th to 5th of March 2022, Harawinua 11. Club competitions 23, 24th April 2022, Tauranga BOP, Mount Manganui, to be confirmed. The travel bubble should be open by those dates, so think about including them in your itinerary when travelling there. Here's another one, the Auto Boule 3000. If you like to play petanque and need to practice with your shooting technique, but you're tired of chasing the bulls around, then check out Boulomatic 3000 ABRS. That's Automatic Bull Return System. Now the bulls are returned directly to you. Just look up YouTube and search for Auto Boule 3000. I reckon every club should have one. Some of our dedicated Petanque Point followers will be aware of the great Around Australia Extreme Petanque Challenge being undertaken by two intrepid petanquistas, Hurricane Hines and Gentle Jenny. The quest is to travel Australia for the next 6 months, seeking out the most difficult and challenging pistes and locations in the country. Leaving from Victoria, they just managed to beat lockdown, their first challenge. Well, actually, it wasn't. Getting organised was their first challenge. Lots of problems with trailers and things up in Brisbane and then lockdowns. Oh, anyway. They had to leave their media crew behind, but Petanque Points podcast were able to get the first of exclusive interviews with them after the initial Pistes challenge. Imagine their pain and privations being stuck in a lockdown area full of wineries, which are all closed because of health regulations. A challenging start indeed. We catch up with them on the road in South Australia on a bit of a dodgy line. Gentle Jenny is on another call in the background while we chat with Hurricane Hines.
We were in Burra in South Australia. It's a lovely area, actually, the Riverland area. Murray in SA is really lovely. But anyway, we're in Burra and we thought, we'll spend a couple of nights around here, and we're just deciding whether we'd free camp or caravan park it. And we were chatting to a lady in the tourist information. She said, by the way, you have to select where you're going to be by 6 o'clock tonight because you're going to be locked down for 7 days.
Oh, gosh.
And she said, jump into the caravan park. And I thought, oh, okay, that's good. And then Janet said, why don't we buy a little electric heater because we're going to be in the caravan park anyway. Yeah. We can use their power. And I thought, oh, okay. So I was in hardware. I was just chit-chatting with a bloke in there, and another guy came in. And he said, oh, he's the bloke you want. He's the caretaker of the caravan park. And I said, oh, are you beauty? I said, just buying a heater, mate. Can you hold me a spot? We'll be there shortly. And he said, can you handle all your own ablutions and things? And I said, no, not really. Why? And he said, well, because of the COVID. He said, we're closing the ablution spot. And I said, check out the Clare Valley. And we rang Discovery Parks, where we are now. He said, have you got any en-suite sites? And he said, no. And I said, oh, well, that's a problem because we want to be able to use hot shower and toilets. And he said, yeah, no problem here. He said, we clean them every hour.
That's good. Anyway, enough of all that. I want a report on the very first challenge games. I want to know how the game went, how many spectators, what the ground was like. Did you have to fight off wild animals to play?
Well, for instance, we're in a fairly stony area where we played predominantly, but the alternative was these beautifully constantly raked roadways, which were sandy, but fast as. It was like Evoca on steroids.
Oh, wow.
You just rolled it out of your hand ever so slightly and it just kept going.
Good grief.
But that was good. But alas, Jen didn't do particularly well. I think I might have let her win one game out of 3 or 4 or something.
All right. And did you have to avoid traffic? Did you have to leap out of the way as the trucks came down?
No, the only possible hindrance was some noisy miners who took a bit of an interest in the kosh from time to time.
How excellent.
And other people in the van park, there weren't that many, but I think they were from Victoria, from Bendigo, I think.
Right.
He said, oh, you're playing bulls? I said, yes. He said, when I was living in Europe, he said, we played a bit of bulls. But that was it. He just glanced up from his chair where he was reading the newspaper.
Right.
So that was about the level of interest, but that was okay. We quite enjoyed it.
The degree of difficulty of the piece then would be what, 11 out of 10? Or?
Oh, no. Look, honestly, it wasn't bad. We played most of the games on the gravel, and so it was the high lob and minimal roll and a bit of shooting. And then Jen wanted to go to the road because she wasn't doing very well in the other. I will tomorrow. And then she wasn't doing very well on the road
either. Remember, Hines, this is going to be a long trip. You might want to reconsider that.
I think it's character building that if you lose, you lose properly. We don't take prisoners, do we, Donna? This is Rex.
Oh, yes, I didn't get back to you, Rex, because I couldn't find the...
It's all right. I already told him he got done like a dinner wrap immediately.
Hi, Rex.
How are you, Jenny? And
I'm fine.
How come you let him walk all over you in the Petanque games?
I couldn't manage the piece. One was a large gravel... What would you call those type of gravel?
Well, same as our northern piste, with the stones. Really,
but it was about 6 inches deep, and I couldn't manage that. And then we played on the road, which was as hard as all get out. So you could all you had to do is put the ball on the ground and blow, and it would go miles. And then we changed the third piece we played on was gravel, but it was a a little bit harder. So that's where I beat him.
Oh, you had one win.
Yes. I don't adapt as quickly as I should.
Yes, I was just saying to Heinz, it is a long trip. Maybe he needs to reconsider his technique and playing and
level of aggression. I think so. Should do it more often.
I think you should too. Otherwise, it might be terrible.
You want to win on your own merits, don't you?
Yeah.
That's what I thought, darling.
Yeah.
Now, I hope you had a glass of wine in the other hand while you were playing, seeing as you're in the Clare Valley.
Yeah, well, we haven't played in the Clare. We might actually.
We will, because we've got lots of gravel.
Lots of gravel here.
And where was that?
Kingston on Murray.
Kingston on Murray. Which is a nice little spot, actually. But we are enjoying it, and it's one of the few things you can do in lockdown quite safely.
Yes.
And there's another reason to get into Petanque.
Absolutely. And you're bringing a book out with film rights of this trip?
Well, yeah, not quite yet. I tell you, I was a bit incensed, but I might have heard it incorrectly. I heard something on the radio and half dozing, and it was something about poetry was going to become an Olympic pastime, Olympic sport.
I know it was in the past.
Poetry.
Yes, it was in the past.
For goodness sake,
Yeah.
Petanque should be in there before poetry. I think it's a conspiracy against the French.
Could just be, but that's good. Anyway, it sounds like you guys are actually having a really good time there.
It is cold, actually, and the caretaker here is also from Tassie, and he said, I've never felt this cold before. It really is.
Well, as long as the power doesn't go out, you'll be all right.
No, we're right. Plenty of power.
All right.
All right, well, look after yourselves, and we'll... All right,
Yeah,
Jen, I'll give
later
it
on.
later on.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. You take care now.
See ya.
Bye. Now, you didn't think we were going to get through one of these podcasts without going to our 7 deadly sins of the Petanque players. Thanks again to Ray Agar from the Anglia Petanque Association for these. Did you realise we're up to sin number 6, and this is titled The Marbles Players. These are the players who will only play rolling shots on the smoothest, flattest part of the terrain. If there's a stone, they want to remove it. If there's more than one stone, they want to rake the terrain flat. Why? Remember, Petanque is traditionally played on an uneven, unprepared surface. In France, the stereotyped village square terrain will usually be quite rough, often with tree roots, lumps of concrete, stony areas, ruts from the market vehicles, gullies where the rain drains cross, etc. All these features are what make up the character of a real terrain, and where the locals will test each other's skills and abilities by playing the terrain. Anybody can roll a boule on a smooth, flat terrain, but it's not so easy when the terrain has slopes and dips, stony areas, etc. The beginner invariably complains about a bad bounce, whereas the expert will study the terrain, choose the best shot, rolling, half lob, high lob, and the correct landing spot, so as to minimise the risk of a bad bounce. One of my earliest Petanque lessons was visiting La Ciotat, the terrain where Petanque started, and playing against a little old man and a young teenage shooter. The little old man, who obviously knew every centimetre of the terrain like the back of his weazened hand, took us over to a far corner of the terrain. This was incredibly stony, more like cobblestones than smooth gravel. Having only learned to roll a boule, I soon discovered that my boule would take an embarrassingly random route, bumping over the stones well away from the jack. In contrast, the little old man knew exactly where to land his boule, and he had the skill to lob accurately onto his chosen spot. The boule hardly rolled on landing and stayed close to the jack. The younger shooter didn't miss a shot, and we had rather a short game. Beginners usually think that pointing is easy, shooting is difficult. Experienced players often say the opposite. Why? Because the shooter usually only needs to learn and play one shot, au fer, a direct boule-to-boule hit. Shooters are untroubled by any irregularities on the terrain. In contrast, pointers need to have a range of different shots and have to play different surfaces and take into account any irregularities and obstacles, such as blocking boules or stones on the terrain. Remember that moving stones is A, against the rules, penalty can result in the team being disqualified, B, more importantly, is contrary to the spirit and character of the game. If you know your opponents don't like an uneven terrain, you know where to play. Again, this is why Petanque is best played on open terrain, precisely because you have such choice. If the terrain is totally flat and featureless, you are restricted to a narrow piste. This basic characteristic of the game is denied. Rather than always playing on the same surface, much better to play on a variety of different surfaces. Learn to play a range of different shots and learn to read the terrain and adapt your game accordingly if you want to improve as a player. Just to let our cherished listener know that we're not slacking on continuing to bring interesting petanque points to you, we're attempting to bring first-hand stories. We were attempting and are attempting to bring first-hand stories from Petanque Petanque Club in Scotland, Fédération Sénégalaise de Sport Boule in Senegal, the newest Tasmania club, and more. So that's it for this episode. Look out for the next, where we'll be catching up with Hurricane Hines and Gentle Jenny somewhere on the track. We'll have the last of the 7 deadly sins. Jerry's trivia and history spot will be there. Maybe talk with Scotland and Senegal and much more. Remember, if you or your club would like to be presented, or if you have something about the wonderful world of petanque, email audiorexy@gmail.com. That's audiorexy@gmail.com. Rex out.
You're a good cat, Rex. Super Rex. Super Rex. Super Rex.